This is David Karp. He dropped out of high school at age 15, not because he was failing, but because he was building an app empire from his bedroom. Here's why Yahoo gave a teenage dropout $1.1 billion. Imagine this. In 2003, most 15-year-olds were instant messaging friends after school. David Karp was different. He'd already taught himself HTML at age 11. By middle school, he was building websites for Manhattan businesses. School felt like a prison for his ambitions.
You actually you finished high school at home, right? Can you tell me about that?
I pretty much dropped out of high school. So I was technically homeschooled for 3 years, which you kind of have to be in New York to be legal. But yeah, I did 1 year at Bronx Science. And what was kind of going on in parallel with that was I had a really terrific internship and then a really great opportunity for a job just as I was turning 15 that I wanted to take, and I was much more excited about than school. And similarly, my parents were much more excited about than the stoner friends that I had made in school. So with their blessing, I dropped out of high school after freshman year to start working.
His parents faced a choice: force their brilliant son through traditional education or let him chase something bigger. David attended Bronx Science, New York City's most prestigious public school. Nobel laureates graduated from there. He saw more opportunity outside those walls. His mother made an unconventional decision. She arranged homeschooling so David could code full-time. No prom, no graduation, just a teenager in his bedroom writing code 12 hours a day. Most parents would have panicked. Something remarkable happened next.
I came up with all sorts of research and stats that showed homeschoolers on a percentage more often got into those Ivy League schools just because there were fewer of them. They were kind of evaluated completely differently, and I thought this is perfect because I had at the time aspirations of either going to one of the cool colleges here in New York where I grew up or going to MIT, which had been my dream for a long time. So I pulled up all the stats that I could to kind of show my folks that, hey, no, this is a real thing. I'm not like a deadbeat here. I can do this. I can go work on these projects, learn a ton, and when it comes time, I can pick up and get into one of these schools because they're going to be so impressed with all this work I'm doing on the side.
At 15, David landed an internship at Frederator Studios. The founder, Fred Seibert, took a massive risk hiring him. No diploma, no credentials, just raw talent. His first project was building their entire blogging platform from scratch. This led to an even bigger opportunity.
So at those moments I've been stubborn in my life, it was because I was really, really believing in something that I wanted to see become a reality. And every now and then, the people around me either didn't totally get it. And I was very lucky to always have people around me who at least encouraged it. They didn't tell me I was an idiot. They just said, David, that doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. And occasionally that was other people's projects. Occasionally I was working with other people who wanted me to do the thing like this, and I insisted that this is where it was going over here. So, one example, when I was doing a project for my main mentor, Fred Seibert, he wanted to build a online video channel for animation. He wanted something that looked a lot like YouTube because that was kind of the set standard at the time, or that was, I should say, kind of the emerging direction of online video. Was this sort of directory with a bunch of thumbnails for videos, and you click on them and it fires it up on a permalink page. And that's what he wanted to do for animation. And
by 16, David was running tech for Urban Baby, a parenting website operating from a Brooklyn apartment. He became their CTO while his friends were taking driver's tests. When CNET bought Urban Baby in 2006, David walked away with several $100,000. Instead of buying cars or partying, David rented office space. He founded Davidville, a software consultancy. His first hire was Marco Arment, who answered a Craigslist ad. Together, they built websites for media companies. But between client projects, they noticed something. Every blogging platform sucked. WordPress was clunky, MySpace was ugly, creative people had nowhere to express themselves simply. During a slow period in late 2006, David and Marco started experimenting. They built a prototype in 2 weeks.
This was 2006. If you went back and looked at the state of, early 2007, end of 2006, when we were looking at all this stuff, if you looked at blogging back then, the number of registered blogs year over year was doubling, but the number of actively maintained blogs, this was a TechCrunch stat that they put out, it's absolutely mind-blowing number, there were like 170 million blogs registered in 2006. The number of active blogs fell from like 15 million to 12.5 million or something.
Yeah.
So people clearly liked the idea of these things, wanted to blog, wanted to have a site like that. But these tools I just don't think work for most people.
Yeah, I mean, I have a personal, I have a WordPress blog, I have a Tumblr blog, I have a bunch of them, and I always feel like with the WordPress one, it's kind of almost overwhelming sometimes. It's like this.
It's a commitment. You really you need to sit down for an hour and hammer out a post, which is awesome. WordPress is the best platform in the world at that. But for me, who doesn't really enjoy writing, it wasn't the right.
75,000 users signed up in the first 2 weeks. Zero marketing, zero advertising, just word of mouth from artists and creators desperate for something better. By October 2007, demand exploded so fast they shut down the consultancy. Tumblr was born.
Tumblr was just a blog that I wanted to hack together for myself because none of the other platforms let me do what I wanted to do, which is something that looked like a Tumblr blog today. It was something that Blogger and WordPress and Typepad and all these things that I tried, I used all of these platforms. Something that it didn't quite let me do. I was a huge internet user and was working on all these little projects and things that I wanted to share in a really free-form way. That was something that was starting to become this sort of growing movement in the blogosphere. After thinking about that for a little while, the product guy in me said, oh man, what would this look like if it were a tool that other people could use? If it were a site where anybody can set up one of these things in a few seconds and blog just like this. Once the scope changed from just sort of building a little blog for myself to a neat little tool that might actually work for more people than just me, I sort of knocked that idea around for a few months before, and I said, let's just go for it. Let's see how much of this we can get together.
Within 5 years, Tumblr hosted 87 million blogs. Artists, writers, and creators finally had a home. David resisted heavy advertising, protecting user experience over profits. In 2012, Tumblr made just $13 million despite massive traffic. Then, Yahoo came calling. Marissa Mayer had just become Yahoo's CEO. She needed to capture younger audiences desperately. On May 19, 2013, Yahoo offered $1.1 billion cash for Tumblr. David was 26 years old. Here's what made this deal different.
$1 billion deal is set to make 26-year-old David Karp America's next tech tycoon. But just who is this high school dropout turned millionaire? I'm Desiree Brown for Monday Money for May 20th, 2013. Yahoo has announced a bold move to buy online blogging forum Tumblr for $1.1 billion in cash, as CEO Marissa Mayer tries to rejuvenate an internet icon that has fallen behind the times. The deal is Yahoo's most expensive acquisition since the California company bought online search engine Overture a decade ago for $1.3 billion in cash and stock. In trading today, Yahoo shares were up. However, the deal has faced immediate backlash from Tumblr users. Tumblr boasts 100 million users and 90 million posts a day, and founder David Karp will be staying on as CEO to continue developing and running the site.
David negotiated to stay CEO with full independence. Yahoo publicly promised not to screw it up. By 2017, Tumblr had created 375 million blogs. It became one of history's largest creative communities, all started by a high school dropout coding in his bedroom. The lesson is clear. Traditional paths aren't the only paths. David Karp proved that passion beats credentials. Vision beats conformity. Sometimes the best education happens outside classroom walls. Your unconventional journey might be your biggest advantage. Modern leaders understand this same truth. While others follow templated career paths, successful founders build their own roads. They don't wait for permission to share their expertise, insight, and vision. They create platforms where their ideas can flourish. The results speak for themselves. Authority grows through consistent sharing. Opportunities flow inbound instead of hunting prospects, and revenue follows naturally when expertise gets recognized. Business becomes magnetic instead of transactional. But most leaders, they're still waiting for someone to validate their expertise. They're stuck building in private while smart leaders are sharing their journey publicly. One stays invisible, the other becomes irreplaceable. The question is, which will you choose?